一艘飞船意外穿越了神秘虫洞，抵达了陌生星系，发现了一颗蕴藏着巨量未知资源的新行星。为开发这颗行星的宝贵资源，政府与大型企业巨头迅速联手，推动星际技术的飞跃发展。一个崭新的纪元就此拉开帷幕。在这个充满机遇与挑战的时代浪潮中，星际佣兵应运而生。他们穿梭于星辰之间，执行各种高风险的任务，并从中攫取丰厚的利润。这颗象征着财富与野心的行星被命名为 Greedland， 寒蓝大地。而你，一名初出茅庐的见习星际佣兵，将在这片充满机遇的土地上开启传奇冒险。
When you step into Greedland's world, you're not just playing another survival shooter, you're stepping into a battlefield that feels alive, chaotic, and relentless. The release of the 1.0 update has pushed this game into a whole new territory, and it's one of those moments where you can feel the developers laying everything on the table. Powered by Unreal Engine 5, Greedland already carried that sharp, violent beauty of Blood and Fire. But with the latest content drop, the experience isn't just about survival anymore, it's about domination. The first thing that hits you is the scale of the new lava area. This isn't just a change in scenery, it's a true escalation. The terrain itself feels hostile, and every wave of enemies keeps you locked in that constant push and pull of fight harder or be swallowed alive. Greedland has always thrived on sheer intensity, but here the developers crank it up, filling the space with endless monstrosities while giving you new tools to fight back. The new power armor, weapons, and auxiliary gear aren't just upgrades, they're statements. Each piece changes how you approach a run, and when you find the right combination, it's like flipping a switch and becoming a one-man army. But the crown jewel of this update is mecha mode. Think of it as your ace in the hole, always looming in the background, waiting for the perfect moment to deploy. You could be pinned down, ammo running dry, swarmed on all sides, then suddenly your Titan drops in. The sheer weight of that steel hitting the ground changes the fight instantly. Bosses that once seemed intimidating become little more than speed bumps as you unleash rockets, cannons, and a barrage of overwhelming firepower. There's something brutally satisfying about that collision of machine and monster, the screen filling with explosions, the air shaking with gunfire, and knowing you've just turned the tide in your favor. It's those moments that remind you, Greedland isn't just about surviving waves, it's about creating spectacles of destruction. Greedland's combat loop has always thrived on excess. Excess enemies, excess firepower, and excess chaos. You're never just holding a line. You're painting the screen red with every shot. Each wave of enemies feels like a tidal surge of hunger, and the only response is to outgun them with everything you have. Missiles light up the sky, lasers carve through the dark, and the battlefield becomes this dizzying symphony of explosions. It's not about retreating or finding safe ground, it's about pushing forward, cutting a path through millions of enemies who all want a piece of you. And that relentless pacing is what makes the game so addictive. The Armory is where Greedland reveals its depth. Here the game transforms from raw chaos into a sandbox of builds and strategies. Power armors each come with unique upgrade paths, letting you tailor your approach to the way you like to fight. Maybe you lean into high-speed maneuvering, darting around the battlefield with rapid-fire precision. Maybe you stack heavy armor and go full juggernaut, absorbing punishment while you unleash devastating close-range firepower. Chips, auxiliary equipment, and over 300 possible upgrades ensure that no two runs ever feel the same. And the kicker? You can synthesize gear, creating ultimate equipment that pushes your build into god-tier territory. This is where experimentation thrives. You're constantly chasing the perfect synergy, the build that lets you melt bosses in seconds or mow down entire swarms without breaking stride. And for the first time, Greedland isn't just about you versus the world. Online co-op has officially landed, and that changes everything. Fighting alongside a friend brings a new rhythm to the chaos. You share firepower, split responsibilities, and carve through monsters in tandem. There's something inherently more satisfying about covering each other's backs, especially when the swarm closes in from all angles. Right now, it supports two-player co-op, but the promise of four-player chaos on the horizon already has the community buzzing. You can feel the developers testing the waters here, and it's exciting to imagine what kind of large-scale cooperative hunts this will evolve into. What stands out with Greedland is the way it continues to grow into its own identity. At a glance, it feels like part of the bullet heaven wave, where swarms of enemies exist only to be shredded. But dig deeper, and it's carving out its own path. The use of Unreal Engine 5 pushes the visuals far beyond what you expect from the genre. The firepower doesn't just feel overwhelming, it looks cinematic. Every explosion, every streak of gunfire, every spray of crimson mist has a weight and clarity that sticks with you. The battles aren't just fights, they're events, spectacles that you can't look away from. And yet, despite all the firepower, Greedland's real hook is momentum. It never lets you pause long enough to feel comfortable. One moment you're dominating the battlefield, the next you're scrambling to hold the line against an unstoppable surge. That ebb and flow creates tension, excitement, and replayability. Add in the near limitless upgrade combinations, and you've got a game that constantly begs for one more run. The developers also make it clear that this is just the beginning. The 1.0 update is massive, but the roadmap hints at more to come. The co-op expansion, new areas, and further upgrades show that they're committed to building on the foundation. And the best part? They've shown a willingness to listen to players, drawing inspiration directly from the community and shaping the game around that feedback. That gives Greedland an edge not just as a game, but as an evolving experience, one where the future really does feel wide open. So here's the bottom line. Greedland 1.0 isn't just another patch. It's a transformation. With the lava area, power armor, mecha mode, and online co-op, the game now sits in a league of its own. It delivers that intoxicating mix of chaos, customization, and spectacle that keeps you glued to the screen, run after run. If you've been waiting for a reason to dive in, or a reason to come back, this is it. The Armory is stocked, the mechs are fueled, and the bugs are waiting. The battlefield is calling.